The sky, it's leaking. Hello, Seeker. It is I, Rabbi John Carrier, teaching you how to live a more meaningful and joyful life. And here I am on day 2 of the Rabbis Without Borders retreat. Thank you for tuning into what is quickly becoming the internet's most popular thing, Manifest. My one complaint about this retreat center is that apparently in Maryland, the sky leaks water. And they're not doing anything about it. In fact, apparently this happens so often and so predictably, they even have a leaky sky recovery process. But then that water just goes. It just goes and nobody gets it back. So I don't know what they can learn from us wise Californians, but I feel like we need to do something. This is a new social action tikkun olam project for me, is managing sky leakage. Today, so far, we've had a wonderful day of learning back in my post-meal rocking chair. Cheesecake again. Today is our first full day of learning together after a wonderful evening of breaking ice and eating food and drinking beverages. This morning we were talking about the social narrative of where the Jewish community is and brought out some fascinating statistics. Most people who are Jewish feel pretty good about that. Like 94% of surveyed Jews feel proud of the fact that they are Jewish, and they're happy about that. That's something really additive to their identity. And the reason Rabbi Kula brought this up is that this is not the question we normally ask people as rabbis. We say, the question we normally ask is, why aren't you coming to the services? Why aren't you joining the temple and paying dues? Did you light your candles on Shabbat? Did you light your candles for the holiday? Did you light your candles for Shiva? Did you light your candles for Yartzeit? Did you light your candles for lighting candles? That's called the Shamas. But his point was that the questions that we ask limit the responses that we're able to get. Maybe we need to be smarter about asking questions and seeing how people relate to being Jewish, even if it's not the way that we think they should or that we do, even or especially if what they get out of being Jewish is different from what we as rabbis get out of being Jewish or think people should get out of being Jewish. Also gave us the shtick that, psychologically speaking, whatever it is you're concerned about other people doing is probably something you're feeling deficient in yourself. And whenever we separate categories of us and them or inside and outside, it's not because we're doing the people on the outside any favors, it's because we're feeling insecure about our own role inside as us. I call these sarcasm rabbits. So we're learning about that today with Rabbi Uri Allen. Hey, Rabbi Uri Allen, what are you doing? What are you doing here?
I'm here with Rabbis Without Borders. We are having a great conversation about a new kind of conversation.
Very meta.
Very meta.
Inception level conversation. How did you learn about Rabbis Without Borders?
I have a number of friends, colleagues who are borderless rabbis, and
must be very hard to find them.
Social media, you see, past couple of years, I've seen everybody at these retreats, and they look so cool. And I said, I want to be a part of that, and so I made an application.
Speaking of seeing everybody, hey, it's Rachel Blatt.
Hey, Rachel Blatt.
What are you doing here, Rachel Blatt?
I just came to say hello.
Hello! Hug break.
Ziegler comes to Baltimore. How are you?
Yay!
How are you?
Who are you and what do you do?
My name is Erwin Kula. I am a 7th generation rabbi and I'm president of KLAL, the National Jewish Center for Learning and Leadership. This week is to help create a network of rabbis who can teach Jewish wisdom in the most accessible and usable ways to help human beings develop as human beings. Rabbis, in my mind, are the most overused resource in the Jewish community and underutilized. And by that I mean is they have access to such a great toolbox, this toolbox of Jewish wisdom and practice, but they don't have many environments in which they can learn how to use that toolbox in the contemporary era.
This is the 8th cohort, yeah?
8th cohort.
Has anything you've heard this week so far surprised you?
Nothing has surprised me. The group as a whole has surprised me on how unbelievably psychologically evolved the group is, how ready, they already are, for this difficult conversation of the next iteration of the next iteration of Jewish life, the coming real challenges to the business models, to the metaphysics. I think what has pleasantly surprised me is, and I don't want to compare to the other groups, I think that this group, from the psychological perspective, is the most evolved group that I have been associated with so far in Rabbis Without Borders.
Are you saying there's a next iteration of Judaism?
Iterations.
Okay.
In other words,
what's wrong with the one we got now?
well, it doesn't seem to be working for many people, as most religion in the West right now, most religions, whether it's Judaism, Christianity, at least in this country, less and less people are engaged in the institutional forms of that. And that means that we're going to be, going through some sort of transition. And institutions, though, aren't what Judaism is. Institutions are mediating, right? They're ways of mediating this great wisdom. So we're going to have new institutions, new products, new services, new ways of talking about Judaism, new ways of acting Judaism, new ways of delivering Judaism. And in that respect, we're like in a Yavne moment. And I like to think, and not to be too overly ambitious, the Rabbis Without Borders is a sort of Yavne without walls.
Real next to last question. What's Yavne?
Yavne is the place where, post the destruction of the Second Temple, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai and that early cohort of the reimaginers of Judaism gathered. And it was that academy where people really began the process of reimagining what Jewish was going to look like in a post-temple era. And I think what we're going to be doing is we're going to be reimagining what Judaism looks like in a post-ethnic world, in a globalized world, in a highly technological world, in a much more interdependent world than we imagined, in very often a post-religion world too. And that doesn't mean no religion, but post-religion, post-ethnic, post-tribal. What is that going to look like? And in a scientific world, in a world in which we understand how the brain works in different ways, in a world in which we understand how to actually help us become flourishing human beings, when we take all of those shifts and we mix it with this ancient tradition, what comes out will be the next iterations of Jewish.
Well, it's about 7 p.m. Eastern Time here at the Pearlstone Conference Center in beautiful Reisterstown, Maryland. It has been an action-packed day, well, a learning packed. That's like rabbinic for action. It's been a learning and action-packed day for the rabbis of Rabbis Without Borders, cohort number 8, learning about the demographic and psychographic profile of the religious world in America, and specifically the Jewish world as a part of the context of that. And after learning about that with Rabbi Erwin Kula, whom you just met, we sat down and learned with Rabbi Brad Hirschfeld. Those two guys are the co-presidents of the organization that sponsors this whole deal. And Rabbi Hirschfeld's deal this morning was asking us to think about and share, who are we teaching Torah to? And ask each of us in the cohort to articulate sort of our avatar, as we say in the YouTube world. Like, who is the person who's going to be most receptive to the Torah that we're teaching? Many rabbis from many different communities have many different focuses. One rabbi said the person who he was teaching to was himself and really focused on things that he was interested in and shared those things publicly because he felt that was what he was most authentically connected to and would teach best. And so he found ways to connect with people over something that he loved. The Torah that you are most interested in is the Torah that you're going to be the most passionate about teaching, and that's going to be infectious, whether it's something that somebody is a priori interested in or not. Other people wanted to focus on, the people in their community. Everybody in their community was their target market. Sarcasm rabbits. And I'm glad I went near last, because it took me a while to think of this. And what I articulated was, I really think the Torah that I most enjoy teaching and am best at and have made the most impact on people is a Torah of second chances. My Jewish journey, the entire thing, has been about trying and failing and trying again. My connection to Judaism was found after a couple of decades being raised in a different tradition, that tradition not sticking for me, and then finding something I felt I could authentically fall in love with. That happened again when I made a career change from being a financial analyst and computer programmer. Great career, worked well in many respects, not what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So my second act professionally was devoting myself to teaching Torah full time. And so I feel like when I connect with people the most, it's people who are, for better or worse, in their second act. Whether it's people who converted to Judaism, people who grew up Jewish but it didn't connect with them, or maybe something happened that really rubbed them the wrong way and they're coming back and giving it a second chance. I really like teaching Torah to adults. No offense, children. I feel like we focus a lot of energy in the Jewish community on teaching our children, as we should. It's a mitzvah. It's in the text of the Shema, teach your children. But because of the phenomenon of so many people opting out of Jewish engagement in their teenage years and not coming back again until they have small children, where we once again focus on teaching juvenile Torah. Well, let's say Torah for juveniles is a better way to put that. But there's so much good stuff in Torah for grown-ups. There are parts of the book of Genesis that's like Game of Thrones, and there's parts of the book of Judges that's like Saw 4. So while in my community, I teach people from age 3 to 95 on a weekly basis, where I have the most impact, where I feel the most strength and passion is teaching adult Torah to adults, especially people who've been through the mill a little bit and who may be on their second act in life or need to give the Torah a second chance, and possibly vice versa. So that was actually a really cathartic conversation to have with all of these amazing rabbis here. And after that, we did some learning on social media. If you have your Torah to teach and you know who you're teaching it to, how do you shape that message and how do you reach those people? And social media is great for this. So we learned a lot of tips and tricks and the right platforms to be on relative to who your audience is. One of the many cool people here is Rabbi Miriam Turlinchamp from Cincinnati, who's done incredible stuff with video online. Am I a little bit envious? Yes, I am. So she's been talking about her arc of using video in her community to get her message out, to build community, like actually the social aspect of getting a group of people together to make something that helps the community. It was really moving. And then I got to share a little bit about what I do as well with video, and my style of making videos is totally different. I would say her filmmaking is like Avatar, and this is Rabbi Paranormal Activity. So it's neat in that context to be with people who want to learn how to make video and to be able to share the things that I've learned over the last nearly 3 years making videos online. I feel like that's my one small unique contribution to this group of superstars who I am learning so much from. Speaking of superstars, I'm going to hand this over to my new friend, Rabbi Getzel Davis, who is going to tell you a little bit more about his profoundly important work in the world, what he's getting out of this conference, and hopes to get out of this cohort in the future. Take it away, Getzel.
I'm Getzel Davis. I'm a rabbi at Harvard Hillel and the founder of Unorthodox Celebrations. Unorthodox Celebrations is an online resource that finds people wonderful, inspiring rabbis to perform life cycle events, whether they're affiliated with a synagogue or they've never stepped foot with organized religion before.
What's a life cycle event? Is that like being on a bicycle or the one at the gym?
Weddings, bar mitzvahs, baby namings. We're also actually matching rabbis with high holiday positions.
Okay. So if somebody's looking for a rabbi, you've got a bunch of rabbis you can reach out to help them out with their thing.
We have 350 rabbis.
350 rabbis?
Oh yeah.
And you said there are Jews in Canada?
There are Jews in Canada.
I've heard that there are Jews in Canada. Mm-hmm. I've just never met one. What are you doing here right now?
I am here at Klal's Rabbis Without Borders conference to learn with inspiring teachers and to meet an exciting network of rabbis from around the country who are doing out-of-the-box interesting things. One of the most inspiring teachings that I heard here this week was from Rabbi Erwin Kula, who was talking about how the Torah that most draws after our soul, that we teach over and over again, how those teachings are things that protect us from our deepest desires, and how the Torahs that we are really averse to are actually protecting us from things that we most deeply need to learn.
You got a high holiday sermon out of it?
I think I got a high holiday sermon out of it, and I'm thinking about creating a video blog like you.
I'd highly recommend it.
Yeah.
It makes you look really smart.
Awesome.
Anybody who has a video blog is really smart.
And your Torah...
Good at just about everything.
I'm really excited to have more retreats and to join this network. I think it's going to be like a really productive, long-term, growthful experience.
Well, that was most unorthodox. No offense, Orthodoxy. I see you. I see you. That's an avatar callback. Seeker, thank you for watching this whole darn video. I really have appreciated my time here, and I really appreciate being able to share it with you. Stay tuned for tomorrow's episode, Rabbis Without Borders, Day 3. And just to make sure you don't miss it, you should go ahead and subscribe to this channel so you will be automatically updated every time a new video of mine comes out that you might really want to consider sharing with your friends. You'll be glad you did. Glad. Until next time, Seeker, shalom out.
Because